This morning we're going to be tying the best streamer you can have in your box. If you got only one streamer you're going to tie this one. It is a Clouser Minnow invented by Bob Clouser, and it is a fish catching machine. You can catch bass and pike and crappie, other panfish, walleye, nearly anything that will eat a minnow will eat a Clouser Minnow. And it's just a very simple fly and very sparsely tied, and will do the job. Also, the fly will ride upside down, hook point up in the water. So an important feature is, notice on this case we've got the chartreuse now on the top of the fly and the white on the bottom. This is important because anytime you look at a minnow, they are always darker on top, and the bottom of the minnow is, the belly of the minnow is always a lighter color, a whiter color. And so whenever you select your colors for your Clouser Minnow, make sure that the darker color is on the top part of the fly as it's riding in the water. Let's get to tying. For a hook, we're going to use a Gamakatsu stinger in a size 4. For the eyes, we'll use some medium dumbbell eyes. One of the mistakes a lot of tyers make is crowding the eyes too close to the hook eye. So we're going to go back almost a distance equal to one length of the dumbbell eyes, not quite, but almost. And we're going to prepare a small bump in there with our thread. Clip off our tag, and then go back behind that and create another small bump. And it's this area between the two bumps that we're going to cradle the dumbbell eyes. And for thread, we're using a 140 denier ultra thread, a little heavier thread, mainly because this is a larger fly, and we're going to be putting a lot of pressure on that thread, so we want a heavier, stronger thread. Okay, set our eyes up here, do a couple of cross wraps, back the other way. Take several wraps in one direction, several wraps in the other. And as you take wraps, you're going to be turning those dumbbell eyes. We want to make sure that they are on the hook straight, perpendicular to the hook shank. Over the top. A few more wraps on this side to turn those eyes a little bit. A few more. There we go. Okay, now the eyes are locked in place where we want them, but to further tighten them against the hook, take your thread and come under the eyes and over the hook, under the eyes and over the hook multiple times, and this will tighten up your thread wraps. Okay, then we'll leave the thread in front of the eyes. The first material we're going to tie on is bucktail. And we want to select a small clump of bucktail. Doesn't have to be very big. And this bucktail is going to have some fluff in the bottom, and we want to clean out that fluff. Just pull it out, get rid of it. And then measure out the length that we want. We want about 2 lengths of the hook, just approximately. Okay, so this is where we're going to want the material cut. So hold that in our fingers, in our left hand, and pinch it. And then I'm going to hold this over the trash to clip this. I'm going to clip right in there. A nice straight cut. And notice if you look at this from the end, it gives you kind of an oval shape. That's the shape that you want. Okay, and you never lose contact with that batch of fur. You hold it tight. And hold it at an angle, coming down towards the hook shank. Make a loose wrap. Okay, pull that down tighter. Another wrap tighter. Another wrap tighter. And wrap up towards the hook eye. And that gives us a natural, smooth taper up to the hook eye. Back it up, clear to the hook eye, or to the dumbbell eyes. And now we're going to come over behind the dumbbells and right behind those, and a few tight wraps behind the eyes. Okay, now we're going to come down the hook shank, wrapping the thread, but we don't want to make these wraps tight. We want to just loosely wrap down the hook shank to almost where the point of the hook is. Okay, then come ahead of your loose wraps, and now you can tighten them down. There we go. If you wrap these too tight at the end, you will flare that bucktail out. We don't want that. We want a nice skinny body. So come back up here and tie all that bucktail down. Okay, we could stop with the body here and just stay with the thread. And that is the traditional way of tying a Clouser Minnow. I think, though, this is pretty valuable real estate in here. We can get some mileage if we add another material in here. Sometimes I've used some polar chenille that gives it some quite a bit of character and body. But today we're going to use a piece of lateral scale, which is a flash material. It's fairly wide, and we'll tie that in. The lateral scale is kind of cool because it picks up whatever material, the color of whatever material you're tying it on, and other colors in the fly, so it's very versatile. Okay, now we're going to wrap that lateral scale. Again, you don't have to do this, but I like to do it on my flies. Gives it all kinds of flash. And if you ever notice, if you see a school of minnows in the water, if you watch them, it's just, you've got these little beams of light that come flashing off the minnows. That's what this does for you. Okay, so that's tied in. Let's jump our thread up ahead of the eyes again and invert the fly. Now's a good time to tie in some flash. So we're going to use some chartreuse crystal flash. Oh, half a dozen strands of it anyway. all pulled out on me. It's gonna be a mess. If these are different lengths, it really won't make too much difference. We just want to get some flash in there. So we're going to loop that over the thread and tie it in. There we go. We've got a lot of flash there, so we're going to clip that off, and I'm going to tie these other pieces in. There we go. We just don't want a bunch of that flash hanging over the back end of the fly. We've got some on each side of the hook there. That's good. Now for our second bucktail material, we're going to use some chartreuse bucktail and clip off about the same size clump as we had on the white. And we want this to be about the same length as the white, so a little bit shorter. There we go. So we're going to snip that off. You ready for the tie? And hold that just like we did with the white. Loose wrap, tighten it up, another loose wrap. Let's come closer to the dumbbells, okay. And then wrap back down to the point. Tie all those fibers in. Turn our fly back over. We'll take it out of the vise and take those fibers all to the back. Okay, our head is all formed. See how nice and smooth that taper is from the hook eye back to the dumbbells. That's what we want. Now we can whip finish. Snip off our tag. Now we could use some regular head cement on our thread and it would do just fine, but what works even better is a product called Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. Now they market this as a fly tying material, but really where this comes from is any beauty supply store. This is just nail polish, is all it is. But it has become the gold standard for a hard finish on heads of flies. So you can also steal some from your wife if you like, but I usually buy my own to save any marital problems. Okay, and brush that over the eyes. If you're using a thread body and don't have it coated with a material like we have in this case, then you can also apply this hard as nails to that thread. Okay. One coat will do it. But and make sure you get it over the top of the fly where you've got the bucktail fibers on top of the eyes. The reason I say that is because that's got to be tough. Again, it rides upside down, so this is the area that's going to be dragging on rocks and such as it goes through the water. And many times I'll bring a clouser back in after fishing some gravel, and it'll be all fuzzy on top where it's torn up those fibers. So that is the very simple Clouser minnow, and learn to tie this and put a bunch of them in your box.